All right, so I'm Marcus Trice, and this is week 4, the final reflection assignment for FTT 211-6346, Stock Refinishing and Metalwork Lab. So it's an interesting assignment because it says evaluate your experiences of building the Shenandoah Muzzleloader kit as preparation for modern gunsmithing. Answer the following questions. It says what major steps in the process of building the Shenandoah apply to modern gunsmithing. And, obviously firearms have changed a little since then. Being, most modern firearms now are cartridges and not black powder. And most actually have, won't have some sort of cap to detonate the gunpowder. I mean, they do in the cartridge, but not externally. And most modern firearms are, some can be made of polymer and coated with special coatings on the metal. Even though for this particular project, we were given the option to coat the metal with that Dura Brown, which I opted not to. But really, though, the things that we learned in this class, and if you were to think about applying them to modern firearms, everything that you learn in this class. I mean, if you're going to do any kind of gunsmithing on any gun, there's going to be things that you will have to, in a way, inlet or modify or shape or remove material. So the inletting is still a valid process that you're going to use today with modern firearms. The stock shaping, obviously it depends on the degree of what you would be doing to a firearm, a modern firearm. But yeah, I could see that you would be making a stock. If somebody bought you a rifle and said, a brand new one, and said, hey, I want a custom stock on it, you would be reshaping that stock, and you would be filing it, sanding it, staining it, and sealing it. Metal finishing, again, depending on what kind of coating you're going to be putting on it, there's some of the still same processes between filing, sanding, polishing, and like installing the sights, and things like that. I mean, again, your firearms have not changed dramatically where, unless you were to say, okay, well, you compare the muzzleloader to like a 3D printed firearm. I mean, that's night and day difference. I mean, and then obviously the muzzle crowning, you muzzle crown guns today. So all of that you would be using. And it says, are there any major steps in this project that do not apply to modern firearms repair or customization? And I mean, really, yeah. I mean, the only thing is that the slow browning. Everybody wants that Teflon finish type of thing, or that Dura finish or whatever. And maybe you wouldn't, for my rifle that I did, maybe you wouldn't on a modern day firearm use that slow rusting, even though it really did create a beautiful patina on that metal. So yeah, that would be probably the one thing that you probably would do today, unless you're doing, somebody brings you an old military rifle and says, hey, can you redo this for me? And then, of course, you're going to be doing it. But on a brand new rifle, someone brings you a Remington 700 and says, hey, I want to put that slow rusting on it. I doubt it. They'd probably maybe want it blued, hot blued. The next thing is cite an example of a modern gunsmithing job that would require you to apply the skills practiced during this project. And I have to say, again, it's everything that we did. I think that I could, from everything from the staining of the stock, to finishing the stock, putting on this the sights, even inletting the stock, polishing the metal, filing the metal, polishing it. No, not too many guns have brass on them, but a lot of guns will have metal on them that you have to polish. Somebody may come to you with a brand new gun and say, hey, I want this stainless steel gun that has a bead finish on it. I want you to polish it for me. So there is a modern gun that you would take what we have just learned and apply that to this modern gun to polish it, or even do away with that beaded finish or whatever finish is on it and make it that satin finish, So that is some examples for this week's final reflection assignment. And I will have to say that I thoroughly enjoyed doing this muzzleloader, and in the first part of this assignment, I did a little video of the finished product, and I dented the back of the stock, and I was able to remove the dent with one of the processes of a wet rag and some steam from an iron. So it lifted it up. It wasn't completely gone, mostly gone. So I intend to give it another shot of that spray finish that I have. It looks great, but just to kind of fill it in just a little bit more, feather it out. But anyway, again, thank you. This has been a very interesting and fulfilling class.